Alrighty guys, so in order to convert an image from one format to another, you only need like 2 lines of code from PHP. That's actually enough, but the problem is that it's not very convenient to do things that way. This is why we need our UI here and a few other things here done for us. So you can actually give your friend this software and say, use it, and they won't have to know how to code, etc. So this is why we have to do all the extra stuff that we're going to do now. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to oh, by the way, make sure you have a server that's installed and you know where your server folder is. In my case, I'm using XAMPP as my server. So XAMPP, when you download it and install, it comes with PHP and Apache and MySQL. So Apache is the server, MySQL is the database, and Apache, and then PHP. So 3 things: PHP, Apache, and MySQL. So in this case, we'll click on the control panel. So just click on the control panel to make sure, once you install it, and then make sure you start Apache by clicking the start here. And then you look for your php.ini file. That's what contains the configuration for your PHP. So I'm going to say PHP here on config. I'll click php.ini. Now, if you can't find this here for some reason, you can always go ahead directly in your htdocs folder or the www folder, depending on what system you're using. Actually, your XAMPP folder here. There's a folder called PHP. Inside, that's where you find your php.ini file. If you can't find it, just copy one of these that says PHP ini development. Copy that one and remove the dash development so that it remains as php.ini, and just like that, you have your ini file. So let's go back to our folder. So after that, I have created a before we open that file, I have created a folder inside the htdocs folder, which is www folder, and the folder is toots, and inside that I have image converter. Now you don't need to do these for as long as you're in the htdocs folder and you know the path to your actual file, then that's good. So let's extract here into the folder. So we extract the template we made in the previous section or video, and then let's go inside and cut everything. I just need these 2 assets and index.html. I can cut or copy, either way is fine, and then I'll paste here. And then once I do that, these 2 items are no longer required, so I can delete those 2. So this is all I needed here. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to open my text editor and grab this folder and drop it in there. So my text editor is Sublime Text, which is free. So you drop it in there. Now we can see things from this end. So I'm going to right click here and rename this file and change from HTML to PHP, like so. Alrighty, good. And once we've done that, let's go back to our PHP ini thing we wanted to do. So config PHP ini, we open that in Notepad. So open that in a text editor and then search for extension equals. So look for extension equals and find the place where there is a list of extensions. In my case, I've found it here, and there it is. So there's extensions here, FTP, etc, etc. What we're interested in is extension is equal to GD. This is the GD image library that comes with PHP. So we will be using this library to edit our images, so it must be on like that. So if you get an error that says image create from JPEG unknown function, then it means your extension is not active. So just make sure there's no semicolon at the beginning here. Mine didn't have, so I don't need to change anything. So you remove that semicolon. Now if your file does not have this line anywhere, just add it. Just copy it up, go to a new line and add that line on any part of this document and save. So then let's close that. Okay, cool. So GD library is running and that's good. So now here's our PHP file. So what I want to do is put PHP tags at the top there, like so. Now my text editor will not recognize this as PHP because it was originally HTML. So go to your bottom right and click on where it says HTML, and then you can select PHP here. If this can't happen, just close the file and open it again as a PHP file. Then it's going to know, because this time it will actually start as a PHP file. Okay, so there we go. We have our PHP there going on, but let's load our actual page. So this is the preview we had when we were making our project. So let me close all this. I want us to actually load the file. So like I said, the path to the file is inside htdocs, toots, and image converter. Yours may be different, but same thing. Now, if Apache has started running on your system, now you can type localhost and see something like this. Then you know that you installed everything correctly and Apache is running on your system. So instead of dashboard here, let's change that to toots, because localhost means that's your htdocs folder. So toots/image converter, and then index.php at the end. So there it is. So now that we are using localhost, it means we are running this through the PHP converter. That's why you don't see the PHP tags at the top. All right, so the first thing is first, we want to be able to upload files here, right? When I click, this actually opens, but then it shows me all kinds of files, and then when I select a file, nothing will happen. I can select a file like this, nothing happens. So what I want is when I select a file, it begins the upload process immediately, and I see some progress here on the progress bar. All right, so not too much to ask for there. Let's see how we can do that, how we can go about doing that. Excuse me. All right, so in our file here, let's use some JavaScript, because JavaScript can actually help us to do things in real time. Now there's quite a bit of code here, and if you look closely, you find that this part is the file viewer down here. Now since there are two of these, we don't need both, we just need one. That's enough, because we're going to use a loop to repeat. So I can delete one of these. So make sure you delete the opening and closing tags properly of these containers. So I'll save that. And if I come here, I should just see one of these and refresh. There we go. So that's good. So first things first, let's add an event listener to listen to when something changes on this input. Okay. Now, instead of using add event listener, we can just go right ahead onto the file thingy here, the input, and just type on change like that. And then when things change, we'll create a function called upload_files like that. And then we need to supply the files we want to upload, and the files will come from within the same input. So we use the keyword this to denote this very item we're on, .files, because it has a files attribute that contains the files the user selected. So that's enough for that. Now I want to only see image files when I click browse. So I'll use the accept property here, and then just say image /. Now if you can accept all images, you can just put a star like so, and it will mean it will accept all image file types. But we are not accepting GIF and SVG and stuff like that, so we want to limit it. So we'll say we can accept JPEG, image /JPEG, comma, image /PNG, comma, image /webp. So those are the preferred items we want in there. And then we want to be able to select multiple files, so we're going to type the word multiple as a property in here. You can say multiple is equal to true if you want. So just like that, we've improved things. Now if I go and click browse, you see that now some files have disappeared, and here on supported formats it says JPEG or supported file types. Wait, what? Where is PNG? Oh, there's webp as well. Okay, so yeah. Oh, okay. Image. So they are all here, which is good. So going down here now, I can select some images. Is it only showing me JPEG? Oh no, there is PNG, so that's good. So I can select a file and multiple files here like that, which is cool. Now let's do something that will show what happens when we click on the thing. Here on the progress bar, I'm going to put a style and say display none, because I don't want this to show the progress bar just yet. And then I'll put 0% here and with 0% there, like so. Okay guys, so then let's look at the selections here. Let's put JPEG as the first option. Here there's PNG, and then here there's webp. Alright, now I want to put some actual values, or you can use these same values, but it's better to actually put some values. JPEG, PNG, and webp. Alright, so we need to be able to select this selector's data. So let's just say selected type. We'll put that class so we can actually get it using JavaScript. So usually I put JS dash like that to denote that this class is used for JavaScript to grab this item. Okay, cool. Alright, so with this in mind, we can create the upload files, what's this? Upload files function. So copy that and let's go down here to where there's a script. Let's create our very own script. So I'm going to go like this and write function upload files, and we will receive the actual files themselves. That is good. Now I want certain files to be allowed, like we've already said. So let me list these that are allowed. So there is, of course, the JPEG, the PNGs of this world, and the webps of this world. Webp like that. So those are the file types allowed. Now in case, so we loop through all the files that we got here. Oh, this is not the right for loop, that's for PHP. So we put a for loop where we go through files like this. Okay, we loop through because we know this is an array. So this one always has a type which you can check. So we want to see if that type is inside that array. So we'll say if allowed dot includes this file type, then we are good to go. Otherwise it's not supported. So I'm going to say else. Here let's have an alert and say file not supported. Okay, so that file, we may want to see what file it is. So say files I dot, we just want the name. Alright, so if things go well and this one is allowed, we want to add these to a form. So I'm going to create a form here. I'm going to call it my form and create it from a new form data object. So form data comes with JavaScript, so that's how you create a form. Then we'll say my form dot append. So we want to append some data to it. So we do that using a key value pair. So first of all, I want to add selected type like that, comma, and I want to grab this item here, this selector here. I want to know what was selected, so I send that as part of the data. So in order to do that, I'll grab it from the document. I'll say document.query selector, and then since it's a class, we put a dot like that. Then at the end of it, we'll say dot value, because we want to just get the value of that. All right. So we get the value of that and have appended. Now, then we can append some files. So we'll say my form dot append, and then what key are we appending here? So file, but we want to append several files. So I'll put a plus and put an I. That way it says file 0, file 1, file 2, and so on. So I can append all of them without overriding the other. And then here we're just going to load the file itself, the contents of that file, like so. All right, so once all those have been put, now we create an Ajax request so we can post our data. So we'll say let xhr is equal to new http request. Now here the capitalization is very important. HTTP should be small letters. Sorry, the TTP only. Then it should be XML capitalized at the first, at the beginning there. xhr.open, so we open the gates and then we send our data. What we are sending is our form, which we've called my form. Here when opening, you tell it what kind of method you'll be using, which is post. Here you're supposed to put the file name you are targeting on the server, but because we are going to be using this same single file, we'll just leave it empty like that. It will load the current file. We put true so that the UI doesn't freeze while this is happening, while it's waiting for a response. Now in order to know oh wait, why does let look like this? Makes me feel like I have missed something here. Mistyped something maybe? No? This let is very suspicious. Okay, so let's go xhr.add event listener. Capitalization very important here. So we're listening for the ready state change, and when that happens we'll run a function, open close bracket. Let's leave some space to type some code here. Okay, so once the ready state has changed, let's make sure that the current state is equal to 4. When it's 4, it means operation complete. It means result has been brought back if we actually made a connection. But it's very possible we didn't make a connection, so there is always a status, which should be 200 if everything went well. So if it's equal to 200, if not, you could alert the user something like please check your connection. Otherwise it's 200, and when that happens, for now I just want to be alerted of the result. So the result will be found in xhr.response text. Alright, so that's all we need, but we need to also monitor the progress, so we can have a progress bar. So here I'll add another event listener. I'll just duplicate this. The event we're listening for is progress, but it's not in the xhr object, it's inside xhr.upload. So we do xhr.upload. and so on. And then when we hear the event, let's remove this code. Let's put an E here to capture the event. So let % is equal to, we want to calculate the percent amount. So this one will be e.loaded, which is the data that has been sent, divided by e.total. So that's the ratio. Multiply that by 100, you have a percentage. But here we'll close these and do math.round, because this number can get very decimal-ish if you don't limit it. Alrighty, this is good. So this percent amount can be used at the top there. So I want to grab the progress bar. So this one has a class of progress. That's what I want to grab and make it display. So the moment we start uploading here, which is somewhere here, we can do that. So I can say, let's reset it, document.querySelector.progress. So we grab that and we say I want to change .style. Yeah, .style.display is equal to none. Oops, block. So let me duplicate this a couple of times. So .progress. Now inside here, there's progress bar. So progress bar has width and some inner HTML there, so that's okay. So let's do this. Let's grab progress bar and say style.width should be equal to whatever the percent amount is plus an actual percent sign. So with this other one, it's the inner HTML I want to change. Let's set it to exactly this. Alright, so when we get to the end, we should close that progress bar. And we know we've gotten to the end when we have reached ready state 4. So let's just put this right here. Before we do anything else, we should... Wait a second. Actually, we don't need to hide this. So I wanted to hide this, but I'll leave it out because we'll be refreshing the page anyway. Okay, so this is good, I guess. Oh, wait. Hold up. Wait a minute. So if I select these two, actually when starting here, we don't know what the value of percent is. So let me delete those two and just put 0. So we start with 0%. Then I can, since I've copied those, I can just paste them here. Okay. So we grab the progress bar and here we put percent. Yeah, actually this works. Alright guys, so this should be good. Let's try it. So I'm going to refresh. That thing is gone. So we are converting to JPEG, PNG or WebP. So JPEG for now. So select a fellow JPEG. I'm looking for something a little bit bigger, but it doesn't really matter at all because localhost is very fast anyway. Okay, so everything happened oh so quickly. Couldn't see anything. Let's go to the console to see any errors. So it says upload files is not defined. Okay, so that's what I was scared of. It says this is not defined because there is an error somewhere. Let me find how many copies. There are 2 of these, so it should be defined. So this is why this let wasn't looking very good. So if you see that color hinting isn't so good, something about above this is wrong. So what I can do is I can just comment out sections of this and see what actually ends up working. So when I commented that, this shows its true colors. If I undo, you see that. So the problem is right here somewhere. There's a syntax error. Even alert looks the wrong color. So what have I done wrong? So there's a loop here. Let me see if the loop is not the problem. Yeah, that's not the problem. So let me mute this. Is that the problem? No. This one? No. So there's a bracket missing, I'm sure. Ah, there we go. One more bracket missing. The let looks nice now. All right, so refresh, no more errors. That's cool. And then let's click to load something. Okay, so this is the result we get. We get the web page itself as text, but you can see it moved to 100% here, which is nice. Alright, but I want to only see what file I have uploaded, the details of the file I have uploaded, and nothing more. So at least the uploading part is done. So now we go to the processing. What do we do with the file once it's up there, or once it's on the server? So now we go to the top here, because this is what happens when we post something. It goes to this place. So what I want is to do a die here, because as you saw, the result of our thing was the actual web page. Now if I do that, then nothing will show here, because the script will just die here. So we want only to die, sorry, when something was posted. So in order to check if something was posted, we use the server request method underscore method. This one changes from get to post when you post something. So we want to put the die inside, like so. So when something is posted, nothing. If it's not, then you show everything. So that's cool. So in here we want to check if there was a file that was uploaded, or yeah. Actually, let's just loop through it. So posted files will go inside the files array. The files array. So I'll do this. So we'll loop like that inside the files array. Okay. The file type will be inside type, actually not here yet. Down here would be better. Alright, so every time we loop, we get a bunch of the file here. Now, just for you to see what's happening here, let me do a print R files like that. So whatever you print here or echo is going to be the result of the Ajax request. So if I refresh like this and click browse and select an image, you'll see the result here. File 0 is equal to this. So there's a file name, there's a file type, there's a temp name. Temp name is where the file is actually sent. If there's an error, it will be greater than 0, and the file size is here, which you can edit if you want to limit how much, how big the file can be, someone can upload. So if name is not empty, then there's a file there. So let's do this. We'll say if not empty, files array name, like that. If that's not empty, then things are going well. So at this point, if this is not empty, let's do this. Let's put an else statement. What I want to do is return some kind of JSON data in order to be more organized. So here what I would do is I'll create an array and put a value for message, which will be empty. Duplicate that, and one of these will be success. Let's set this to false. Alright, so I want this data to always be there. A message, just in case there is a message, and whether we succeeded or not. So success would look like this. Would have to put this and say true here. Change it to true. Okay, if everything goes wrong, it will pass through here. And then before we die here, I'm going to echo my info array. But in order to echo an array, we need to convert it to JSON. So we use JSON encode, and we encode the info variable. All right, goody. So at this point, let me remove this. We don't need that. So if it's not empty, then that's good. So now we move the file. So let's do a move uploaded file like this. And the file will be found inside file array temp name, tmp_name, and then we should have a destination where it's going. So destination will be equal to, we'll create a folder, and then let's concatenate to that. Let's add files array name, this one here. Whatever the name of the original file is, that's the destination, but within this folder. So what we'll do is I'll copy folder here, and just right at the top here, folder will be equal to uploads / that's the folder name. Now if it does not exist, so we use file exists in the negative sense. If the folder does not exist, create it, mkdir folder. So we create the folder if the folder does not exist, we create it just to make sure. So you see in here, there's only one folder, which is assets. Once we create the folder, we move the file to the folder, and then we should be able to display things from the folder. So what I want to do is right about here, that is outside the post request method, I want to create a variable called images. This one will get all the images from the folder, this folder, the uploads folder. So this is why I'm creating the folder up here, so that it's available by the time we're running this code. So here we'll say, we'll use a function called globe. Globe will carry the folder, and then we concatenate to that a regular expression like this. And then in order to use a regular expression, let's put our star dot like that and a regex. We need to put a flag called globe brace. So if you need more info on how the globe function works, you can just Google it on php.net. Alright, so here we'll put file types that we need: JPEG, JPG, PNG, webp, etc. So I want to duplicate this and then set this other version to uppercase, because sometimes file extensions could be capitalized and sometimes it doesn't see that if you use small letters only. So this will grab only image files if there are any, and then down here what I can do now is loop through if I find them. So here I'll say if not empty. Let me put PHP tags, I almost forgot about that. So if not empty images. So if there are some images, let's do something. So let me close this, just make sure this closing div is correct. So we end that if statement there, but then I will duplicate this and duplicate this as well. And then I will push this in and push this in, just to be more organized. So select that if statement, Control D, select the next one and put a for each. So I want to loop through the images if they do exist. So images as, we'll call this one img. I'll copy that img. So first of all, there's going to be a file name here, which will be the img itself. Okay, cool. And then here there'll be file size. So we'll do, there's a function conveniently called file size, like that. And what else? Then we need this very thing in the link here. Okay, so let me come back here. Types here. There's types here. What did I do with types? If not empty. Okay, so I didn't confirm here if the types I want are the valid ones. So instead of retyping this thing, I'm going to copy it. This. So because somebody can edit your JavaScript, you can't always be sure that they are sending you actual images. So you have to double check here as well. So here we're going to say allowed is equal to, let's just put a $sign there, and that changes it. So these are the formats that are allowed. So we put another if statement and say if in array. So the needle is type, which we'll create just now. The haystack is allowed. This is the array. So then we can put an else statement here. Now in these else statements we can put a message. So I'll put a message here. Message will be equal to file not allowed, and then this here will be, actually a much better message would be file type not allowed, something like that. And here could not upload file or something like that. So we need to know what type is, otherwise here we'll have a problem. So type is going to be equal to, we'll get that from the files array. If you look here, there is type on the data that's sent, so it tells you the file type. So we'll just say type like so, semicolon, and there we go. So this nesting of if statements can be improved by using functions instead. Then we can just use return, but this is not an advanced tutorial, so this is okay. Alright, so with this now, if we reach at this point of success, which is true, then we move the file to the destination. So that's all good. But here we'll be doing several operations, right? There's downloading, there's deleting, and there's uploading. So we need to know what we are doing, what operation is being done at that moment, so that we run the appropriate code here. So the thing we can do is send some data, some extra data, which we will call something like file type, right? So this one will come inside the post data. So only files go in the files array. Any text that you send will be received in the post variable instead. So here we'll have one called data underscore type, and if that data type is equal to upload, then only then do we do this part here. So more if statements there, right? So what I would do is I'll duplicate this over here like that, and then tab this in, but then remove this extra bracket here. Okay, so that if data type is here, then we can do an else statement here and make provision for another data type. Or so you don't have to call it data type, you can call it something else just to tell you what's happening, or action. Maybe you can call it action. I think that's actually more suitable. Let's call it action. So upload, the other one will be for deleting, and then we can have an extra one for download. All right, so for deleting and for downloading. Good. So with all of this in mind, there's also one thing we forgot. There's the selected type as well. The one the user selects on this one. Selected type here is what we are converting to. So we're going to just call it convert to. So right here where we grab type, I'm going to say convert underscore to is equal to. Now this will come inside the post variable because it's also just text. It's not a file. So selected type will be the key for it. All right, so convert to, there we go. Maybe we should have named it convert to even there, just to be thorough. So let me select all instances of select type and just change it to convert dash to, like that. Okay. I think that works fine. Okay, so that's what we're converting to, and that's the current file type, and converting to this. So that is important. So for now, we're just moving the files without doing anything with them. And then when we delete the file, when we want to delete the file here, all I need here is success is equal to true. I'll put it in here. And then what we need is the file name. So this will be sent inside a post variable. We'll call that file name just like that. Okay, so we'll say file is equal to file name. And then we check if the file exists. So if file exists, okay, file, then we delete it. We say unlink file, like that. So that's all. That's all you need to do in order to delete a file. You unlink it. And then when we download, we're just going to read file. When we download here, we'll say read file and then file. So just like we did here, we have to send the file name of the file we're trying to download and then read the file like that. Now you need to tell it the file type and stuff like that, maybe, or maybe to select that automatically. We'll see. So read type, and once we are done with this, we shouldn't echo anything at this point. We're just going to say die over here, because if we echo anything, it will be considered as part of the file. Read file, what it does is it sends the data of the file through the internet to your browser. Now if you echo some other content down here, they'll be merged as part of the file. So we do that here. But content type, you can set the content type here. You set some headers, right? Okay, we'll figure out the headers we need to set here in a moment. All right, so with all this done, we are moving the file. We are not converting the file yet, but things are looking good. So let's go down here where we need to add a data type, or what we call an action. So here I will duplicate this and add action here. Let's say action. And the action I want to append is called upload, because here we are uploading. All right, so easy peasy like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, good. So this is the function for uploading. So let's try this and see if it actually going to work. So now one thing I forgot here before we go any further is to put an else statement here for when there are no files. I just need us to echo some text and say no files were found, or no files uploaded yet. All right, so with that in mind, let's refresh our page and we should see no files uploaded yet. Let's make it look much nicer. So let's add some styles and say text align center, and then let's add some padding here of 2M. That should be good. All right, so no files uploaded yet. We could also change the opacity to 0.5 so it looks a little bit faded, something like this. Then yeah, I think that should, since we have icons as well, we might as well use icons there if we wanted to. So yep, let me see here. No, let's not go overboard. So no files uploaded yet, so you can give instructions here. So now let's try and upload a file. So but before that, sorry about that, let me go down here. Here we are alerting the result, but I'm confident with the result here. But for now, let's just do that. In case we messed up somewhere, we'll see the error here. So, or what we can do is let's code for that and then mute this thing that could show us the error. Then we can fix that later. So here what I want to do is create an object with the JSON data that we are receiving. So I'm going to call it json.parse. This is how you do it. You use the JSON object and you use the parse method. So json.parse the text that we received, and that converts the string into a valid JavaScript array or object. So once we have that, we can check if obj.success. So if everything was successful, we refresh the window. So we say location.reload. Then we put an else. If that's not the case, then let's echo out the message. So obj.message. We alert ourselves. Alrighty then, so let me refresh. Let's try and upload one file. Click. Let's go upload this one here. It uploaded and there it is. Look at that. It's always awesome when things work as intended. Let me browse again and add another file. It's very cool when things work on the first attempt. Very rare that this kind of thing happens. Okay, so the file size here isn't very readable for a user, so let's convert this to megabytes. This is in bytes. You can convert it to kilobytes or megabytes. So for now I just want megabytes, so let's go here where it's file size here. If I divide this by 1024, I make kilobytes. So then I can do that and then just put KB like so, which will be very valid. If I refresh, that's what you see. But you see the decimal places don't really mean much. So what I'll do is after the division here, I'll wrap in this inside the round function to round off the data, no decimal places. So 110 KB and so on. All right. But if you want MBs, maybe let's put M there. We have to divide again by 1024. Then we get MBs. So if I refresh now, we get MBs. This 1 MB, it's rounded off. But what I want is the round function to have at least 2 decimal places, like that. Yeah, 0.59, 0.11 MBs. That's much better. Okay, cool. So all this is nice and dandy, but the image has not been converted. So really what I want is to convert, most of the time, is webp to JPEG. So convert to JPEG, I want to upload webp files. But now I want the ability to be able to delete these guys. So when I click here, I want a reaction of a delete. First of all, it should ask me if I'm sure I want to delete this. Okay. So let's create a function for delete. So we're going to say function delete. And here, the file name is what we want to send. Now, most of this will be exactly the same. So I'm going to copy all of this here, except a few things. Up to here where there is, we don't need a progress bar because deleting takes mere seconds because we are not uploading any file. So this is fine. This is all good. We don't need the upload progress, so let's remove that. The rest can stay. Let's remove this responsive thingy here. Everything else stays the same. Now we need the part where we create the form, and these two parts here. Copy that, and let's come down here to the delete area and paste. So we create the form. The action here is delete, so it goes to run the other code. And then we need a file name here. Now file name should come from there, from that delete button there. So from the delete events, file name, that's good. So if I go up here, let me make sure it's file name we're receiving, and that is true. But I need to ask the user if they're sure they want to do this. So what I'll do is I'll say if not confirm. So when you open up the confirm function, it will bring a prompt. Are you sure you want to delete this file? This is a very huge time saver. Instead of us creating a model all the time, this works perfect. So are you sure you want to delete? If the answer is no, then return. Otherwise, if it's yes, continue down here. All right, and that should actually be enough to delete. Oh, wait a second. We need an event listener for the delete. So the delete is here. So here we just say on click, right? On the click there, let's run the delete function. But we need to provide the file name. And luckily the file name is inside this variable here. So we're just going to put that there. But remember, these are strings that could have spaces. So let's put that inside some quotes. So this is how you can get information from PHP to JavaScript. Because remember that this is JavaScript code, while this is PHP code wrapped in PHP tags like so. But why is this red? Should it be? I don't know. Anyway, let's test and see if it's working. So if I click here, it should ask me a question, but it doesn't. So let's go back to the console and see what's happening. Function statement requires a name. Oh, sorry about that. I think I didn't provide down here function delete. Right, so maybe delete is a reserved word. So let's do delete file like that. All right, not just delete. Maybe it's reserved. Yeah, that's why it was looking red. Okay, refresh. So now let's click. Are you sure? Cancel. Okay, but let me make sure we didn't delete this by refreshing. So click yes. This time it's gone. Click yes. Very cool. Alrighty then. So those things are working as intended. Now it's the download button and the actual conversion. So let's do the actual conversion here. So the first thing is obviously to upload a file. But before we do that, actually, we need to run the code here. So let me put some code here that converts. So after we move the file, let's create a function instead so that we don't cramp all that code here. So here we're going to say convert file. So we'll create this function ourselves. And then here we are looking at the destination because that's where the file has gone. We'll convert it in place. So we want to convert this same file here. Now we need to know what we are converting to. So we'll put that convert to here, like so. So convert a file, this file, convert it to this format. So we need to create this function. Otherwise, we'll have an error here. So let me copy that. Now functions can be created anywhere. Let's try and put it right at the end here. We're going to say function convert file, like so. Okay, so the destination is the file. We need to make sure the file exists. So we say if not file exists destination, like that, we return. We just ignore everything and return. Otherwise we continue. Okay, so here we can put select a switch statement. So I'll put switch like that with a condition. So the condition is we need to know the type as well. So let me put type here. Sorry about that. So let me put type here so that we can receive the type. So we should get the type here as well. So this is the type of file we have and what type we are converting to. So both information is important because I don't want to start checking for the file type here again, since we already have it there. So here, if the file type is image/jpeg, then we do one thing here. So we use a function called, so we want to create an image resource. So we want to open the image up for editing. That's what we are doing. So we use image create from JPEG. So image create from JPEG, that's the function. And then the file name is destination. Destination isn't very good. Let's change it to file name. So since we are in here, we can leave it as destination out there, but in this function, we will put it like this. So that's how you convert. Now, if none of these work, we'll just assume it's a JPEG file. So we'll use that. But for the rest, let's do this. Boom, boom. So there's PNG, right? PNG. So there's a function, image create from PNG. And then there's webp. There's also a function, image create from webp, like that. So regardless which one, oops, what have I done? So depending on which file it is, we create an image resource based on that data. And then once we are done here, we duplicate this switch statement, because there are only 2 lines of code we need to, in order to, actually we don't even need all of this. Oh, no, we do. Actually, we do. Okay, so now we just need to save. So now that we've created an image resource is very universal to all images. So we can save this image in any format that we want after the process has happened. So here again, we switch. Now, instead of checking for the type, we are checking for the convert to. What are we converting to? Are we converting to image JPEG? Now, these are not the formats we are dealing with in there, but maybe we should change them so that they look like this. So here I would do this like that. So these are the new values in the select so that they match what we already have instead of creating new values. That way I don't have to edit them here. Okay, so instead of image create from JPEG, now we have a function called image JPEG. So that function is image JPEG, like that, and that's how you save your file. So we save the image like that, and you can now specify also the file name to save to. So we're replacing the old file like that. So same file, and then you can specify the quality, 90, 85%. These are percentages, 90%, 85, but or you can just leave it out. And let's remove this, so we don't need that anymore. Same thing here. We'll do image PNG, that's the function name, and image like that. So in a similar fashion, we save the file name like that. Now the quality on PNG is 0 to 9, I think. So you can check these functions out just to be sure. And then same thing, image webp, like that, to save it as webp image, like so. And then if all of this fails, we just do an image JPEG. If we don't know what type it is, which will be rare, I guess. All right, and just like that, we've converted the file. It's as simple as that. Okay, cool. So let's see this in action. So I'm going to refresh this just to make sure there are no errors. I'll click browse, and this time I'm looking for webp. So I'm going to select webp here just so I get only webp files. Let me go to where I have images. I'm sure I have a few webp files which are right here. So this is one of those files, a lonely robot. How big is this? Okay. And there we go. So as you can see now, it hasn't been changed to JPEG at all. Something went wrong somewhere because it's still WebP. No. This is my bad. Sorry about this. Let me delete this image. This is my bad right here. You see, the issue here is that the file name has a very specific file extension, right? So it has a very specific file extension. So even when we convert it to WebP, we are still saving it as JPEG, so as .jpg. So that's where the problem is. So what I want to do here is I just want to confirm that the files I'm saving here are of a very specific type. Let's see. Let's do a string replace here. Okay, we get the file extension and then we replace it with something else. So here I'll do this. To get file extension, I'll say ext is equal to, so inside the file name there's exif get data or something like that, exif read exif data or exif read data. I think these are the same functions, but what we're going to do is this. Let's just do an array pop. So what I'll do is I'll just use an explode like this. There are functions that are meant to get file extensions, but I've forgotten which functions those are. So let's just do it the old-fashioned way. So the file name, I'll explode the file name. I'll call this one parts. We explode by the dot, and then we just want the very last item. So the extension is going to be equal to end parts. So end is a function you use to get the last item in an array. So the last item will be the file extension. So there, we'll copy that file extension. And then on this file, we're going to do a string replace. So we'll do string replace. So what are we searching for? We are searching for a dot, where there's a dot ext, like that. So we're adding a dot to extension here because it won't be there in the extension itself, and then looking for that. Now this has to be at the end of the file, so it's better to use a preg replace. So let's use preg replace instead. Now preg replace is better because it contains regular expressions. You can use regular expressions instead. So what I'll do here is put those like so, and I could put extension like that, but then I want to put a literal dot sign, so I'll do a slash dot like this to say this is a literal full stop. It's not a special character, because if I do like that, dot means any character. So if I put a slash like that, I'm escaping it, saying this is just a dot, nothing special, and then whatever is held inside extension. But the reason I've used preg replace is because I can do this. I can put a $sign at the end here to say only search at the end of the string. So that's better, because you find that sometimes the file extension is also repeated in the file name itself, so we want to avoid replacing it from there. So here we're replacing with, since this is a JPEG, we'll say .jpg. The subject is the file name. Alright, something like so. Okay, cool. So the result of that will be a better file name. So let me duplicate this and paste like so. Now here where there is webp, we'll change that to webp, and here where there's png, we'll change that to png. Alright guys, so I think that was almost the final thing. So let me click browse here and let's get a webp file. So I'm going to select webp only, and let me select any of these files. I want something slightly big because mother and child looks cool. There you go. So I see two versions of the file here. So as you can see, there's the JPEG and there's the WebP, right? So there's one WebP, one JPEG, and you can see they have different sizes, which shows that we literally did convert one of these. We did convert them. So yeah, that's how you can convert from one file type to another. WebP files to JPEG. Now we should delete the old file, because if we do convert, then we should delete the old file. So here all we need to do is say unlink the file name like so. Now we should do this slightly before we save the other file, and that's because in case it's the exact file name, for some reason we'll end up overriding it. So I don't want that. Let me do this. Okay, so we remove the file name, the actual file, and then we save the new one to avoid this doubling here. So let me delete and delete. Again, let's convert. Select a WebP file, and yep, let's go ahead. And there it is. So we got a JPEG. Now I want to get a PNG instead. So what do? The same file. I want it in WebP format. And let me open that up. Now we have a PNG right there. So the file name is too long. Maybe I should have set it up so that the height is not so fixed here. It can change as you need. So you can make those adjustments as you wish. And there is our scroll bar already showing up there. Let's add one more conversion here. Okay, so there we go. Converted to PNG. Very cool. All right, guys. So instead of showing all this, I can change that to base name. So sorry, let me do that real quick. Right here where it's showing the image, I can say base name like that. That will shorten the name, removing the folders here. Let me refresh, and there we go. That actually did the trick. Alright guys, so as you can see, this is a proper image converter, converting from whatever format to whatever format you want, and that is good. But let's deal with the download thingy here and then call it a day. Alright, so in order to be able to download the file, we need to set some code here in the if statement here. So here's the download part. Now, before we start reading the file, I want us to flash the output buffer first. So what this means is that whenever you are accessing a page, a PHP page, anything you echo from there or any empty spaces that you leave in form of HTML will be sent to the output buffer. So it's just a piece of memory where everything is sent before it's sent to your browser. So all that is saved in a particular piece of memory, and then when it's full, it's sent to the browser. So when you are downloading a file, you're doing a read file here, which literally just gets the string of the file and sends it one by one to your browser. But first, before that, it saves it in the output buffer as usual and then sends it to your browser. Now, if there was already data in the output buffer, then it will mix with the file. This may end up corrupting the file. So sometimes you find a downloaded file is corrupted. So let's do ob clean and flash as well. So you can Google what these do on php.net. But this is output buffer cleaning. And then this one flashes the output buffer, which means it sends any data that's already in the output buffer to the browser so that it's all clean, and then we can now read our file. But before that, we need to set some headers. We need to tell the browser how to receive this data, and we use headers to do that. So for example, we tell it the content type that's coming in like so. So what is the content type? This could be an image / JPEG like that. So you tell it this is a JPEG, you find that the browser will know how to load the JPEG or a PDF, for example, directly in the browser, right? So instead of putting a fixed value here, because we don't know really what file type we're going to be dealing with here. So also, when we grab the file, we should know if the file exists before we decide to read. I don't know how I forgot that. So we'll say file exists. If a file exists, that's when we go ahead. Otherwise, we just ignore it. We don't read the file. Actually, on this one, let me use exit. There's a slight difference between exit and die. Die sometimes can echo out some errors in the process, so we don't want anything to corrupt the file, so that's not advisable. So let's use exit instead, because it never does that. And then, so content type image JPEG, that's all good. You can set as many headers as you want. So there are two important headers. This one is content disposition, like that. So if you get lost on what headers to set when downloading, just Google this and some people will generously show you the information. So the content disposition here should be attachment. And then at the same time, we could put a file name here so that when it is being sent, we could get a file name as well. So let's do this. Now here, instead of setting this to a fixed value, let's check the file itself and see what type it is and add it here. So put a dot here and use the function mime content type and put that file in there like so. And the file name, we can do the same thing here, but let me do a dot. Let's use the base name of this current file like so. Yeah, that would be the file name, so that when it's being downloaded, it uses its real file name there. And what else? Maybe we can add content content size or content file size. I'm not even sure anymore. Yeah, okay, let's try these two. This should be enough actually. So let's give it a chance here. Action should be equal to download, but also we need to be able to send the data from down here. So let's repeat what we've done with delete file here, but download file instead. Let's rename it to download file. So duplicate Ctrl+Shift+D. So instead of delete, anywhere where it says delete, let's change it to download. So this one is download. Are you sure you want to download? We don't really need to ask this, so let's remove that. And yep, in case of any errors, blah blah blah. Looks about okay. But then we need an event listener as well. The same thing we did for delete file here is exactly what we would do for download. So let me paste that here and change that to download. Everything else remains the same. Everything must go. All right, so there we go. So let me try and download maybe this. So click. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. So let's go to the console here. There's a syntax error. It says json.parse unexpected character on line 1. So what that means is that the JSON we received is faulty, so which probably means there was an error. So what I would do is right here where we received the data on the, I'll do this. I'll say alert. Let it alert me to the actual text that was received. So I'll refresh and I'll click download again. Wait, what's the complaint now in the console? Download file. Or maybe I did this on the wrong place. Yes, I did. All right, so let me remove that. I'm supposed to do it on the download file here, function. All right, so let's refresh again. All right, let me click now. This is what I get. Okay. So what this actually means is that we're downloading the file, we're reading the file. This is why all this data is unreadable like this. This is the actual file being downloaded, but the browser is not recognizing that this needs to be a download thingy. Okay, so we need to change how we are doing things here. So let me do this. Let me say, okay, I see where my error is here. Yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a problem. I see. Okay, this is a bit of an issue. So what we'll do is this. We can't do the download using this because the result is returned here as a part of data, which is not what we want. So let me remove this whole thing here. Sorry about that. So what we'll do instead is this. Instead of saying URL encode, let's make this a link. So I'm going to make this a link. It's an A tag now. This download button, and then we'll put just an href here. So on click it tends to href so that it can take us somewhere, and this will take us to the download.php file, and then we put a question mark, a query here, and then we put URL is equal to, and then we put the URL there like so. Now the best here is to use URL encode like that, so that it encodes it for the URL, because there are some special characters like in the image path. There are these slashes here that mean something in a URL, so we encode them to a different encoding style so they don't look like this, but they'll still be interpreted as these. So yep, that's how we're gonna do it. So then we'll create a new file here. Where is this file? Inside the folder, new file, and save it. This one will be download.php. Okay, so there is our file. And then I'm going to go ahead and put all this code that we put here. So I'm gonna grab, so we don't need this section here that says download. So let me just cut that out. We didn't need that. We'll paste it in here instead. So PHP tags here. Do not put a closing PHP tag in here under any circumstance. So there we go, because once you close, then everything after that is considered HTML. Okay, so we have a file here that will come from the get variable, and the get variable is URL like that, because that's what we named it here. Where is that? Where is that? here we named it URL. So you can name it whatever you want, or img, like that. Then we'll have to change it here as img. So that's the file, and if the file exists, then let's do this. Okay, and yeah, but yeah, I think this will work just fine. So we change the headers and then read the file. Let's try this. So I'm going to refresh, and let's see the URL on here. Yep, there it is. So if I click on that, it opens me to this page. Okay, which is cool, but it comes up empty, maybe because the file does not exist. So what I'm going to do first of all is echo the file. I want to see what information is brought here, and there it is. So the mistake, I guess, is the bracket here. So we don't need that. So since it's not coming from here, it must be coming from the source. So right here, there's a closing bracket that we don't need, so I'll delete that. And let's try again. Now, if I echo like this echo will be part of the file and might disturb the file, so might make the file corrupt. So let me refresh. Okay, that didn't seem to work either. So let me undo and let's see what it has. Oh, I needed to oh crap, I actually lost that one. So let's go back and try toots image converter index.php. Okay, there we go. So let's try again, because the URL will be different now. So let me click, and there you go. You see it has downloaded the actual file. It says 78.6 KB, and wait, this one is 80 KB. Okay, so about right. Yeah, so it's correct. So let's see if it actually opens when I click on it. Yeah, it's a valid image. So that's cool. Let me download this one as well. Let's see. Yep, it actually works. So just like that, we have everything done, and it's awesomeness. So I hope you've learned something new, guys, and I'll see you in another tutorial.